So guys, I want to go through and talk about this Forbes article because I think a lot of people are missing the point. This article per se, it's not necessarily about Star Citizen per se, it's more about crowdfunding. And I have a bit of a theory about why we're hearing about this again, considering everything that's happened lately. So let's just jump straight into it. So in this, obviously, the exclusive, the Saga of Star Citizen, a game that raised $300 million, but may never ready to be played. Okay, that's a great hyperbolic term. Great statement. You got anything to back that up? Probably not. So this article itself, and let's call what it is. It's a hit piece. Okay, it's them going through trying to discredit Star Citizen, but more importantly, crowdfunding. And there's several little situations here, like it's over October 2018, 2000 video games fanatic are jammed into Austin's Long Center for the performance art to get a glimpse of Star Citizen, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, back in given thousands of... right, so the demo starts small. This goes on about the demonstration, which... to be honest, I think is completely insane that you're literally trying to give Chris flack because he's running a demonstration that's not on the rails, but regardless. Yeah, it was a real demo. It was a real demo of a game. It's in development. Oh my god, they had a crash. Who would have thought? But regardless. But like I say, yeah, it's when you go here, well, it's really current state Star Citizen. The company Roberts co-funded Crowd Empyrean Games has raised $288 million to bring the PC game to long life with its companion, an offline single-player action called Squadron 42. Now, obviously, in this, they make a lot of statements. They make a lot of vast generalizations. But here it is here. Star Citizen, the biggest crowd-funded project ever. And while they're having a go at Star Citizen, that is entirely true, they seemingly are more interested in having a go at crowdfunding. And that's what I got from this. And I think it's Obsidian Ant says that there's nothing in this article that we didn't already know. Is Star Citizen suffering from feature creep? Yes. Shock horror. Does Star Citizen, could it use some tighter reins put on Chris and his mismanagement? Sure, we could have that argument. But there's nothing in this that we haven't already known, or the community doesn't already know, or that a lot of gamers don't already know. But to me, this is more about, and I have read the whole thing and it was quite long and winded. And yes, it is well written, something that Obsidian Ant has said that is entirely true. But to me, this is more about crowdfunding. So obviously you go down here, there's obviously talking about Star Citizen. They're going on about the Federal Trade Commission. They did obviously mention that Chris was not implicated in any of this. So why are you talking about it? You know, poisoning the well sort of thing. But yeah, I was quite successful before I crowdfunded Imperium Games, Robert says, adding that he was the partner at Origin AA, which brought in 1992 for $37 million. And he was paid the vast majority owners of Digital Anvil when Microsoft acquired it. Roberts has company's fundraising is ethical. Roberts says he's compensated like a typical C-suite game exec. So like I said, they're more seemingly talking about the crowdfunding side to Star Citizen. And I have a bit of a theory about why they're talking about this. So in this situation, we have had a lot of AAA games lately that have been spectacularly bad. Anthem, for example. And I know everybody loves to shit on Anthem, but it is probably the best example that is going right now. Anthem, for example, has gone through and was released rushed, incomplete, buggy, and this is a AAA game, okay? Now they went through, they put out a roadmap to Anthem, they talked about how they're going to fix the game, blah, 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 and then when all the shitstorm sort of calmed down, they tried to sneakily claim that they're actually winding back on that roadmap now. And the current theory is that a lot of the staff and developers from BioWare are actually working on, I think it's Dragon Age 4 or whatever it may be. They're working on another game, and they don't have the dev team to work on Anthem. So, and this is, you're probably thinking, what's this got to do with crowdfunding? Because it's not going through publishers. Because crowdfunding allows you to go through and to skip these AAA game companies, as, for example, Jim Sterling would say, and allow you to go through and actually fund it yourself. This is something that I've already talked about in a previous video. But to me, this is more about the AAA game industry worrying about crowdfunding. We've just had Star Citizen that's smashed all sorts of records. We've had, for example, Subverse the game, which had just launched over $2 million in pounds, £2 million, when it came to the GoFundMe. And unfortunately, I forgot to back that. But anyway, I'll just have to buy it when it comes out. Yes, I'm going to play Subverse. But yeah, there have been failures, and there have been spectacular failures when it comes to crowdfunding. And they do mention a few of these. But, like, for example, it makes Star Citizen far and away the biggest crowdfunding project ever, right? Rough playable mods, alphas, not betas, blah, 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 blah. Where is it? They talk about other... So here, this is not fraud. Roberts is working on the game, but it is incomplete and mismanaged on a galactic scale. That is a great statement. Have you got anything to back that up? The headless waste is fueled by easy money raised through crowdfunding. A Wild West territory nearly free of regulators and rules. Creators are in charge here, not profit-driven bean counters or deadline enforcing suits. Federal bureaucrats and state lawyers have intervened only in a few egregious situations where there was little effort to make good and a lot of money was pocketed by the promoters. Many high-profile crowdfunding projects, like the Pebble smartwatch, $43.4 million raised, and the Over video game console, $8.6 million, have failed miserably. This statement here, to me, is what it's all about. It is about the fact that they have crowdfunding as a competitor to the AAA game industry. They are worried about this because, like they say, it's the for example, free of regulators and rules. Creatives are in charge, not profit-driven bean counters or deadline enforcing suits. Who are the non-profit driven bean counters? EA Games, Blizzard Entertainment, all these sort of large corporations that lately have been screwing up games left, right, and center. So, like I say, non-profit driven bean counters, which I think is absolutely insane to claim. You're going to tell me EA Games and stuff like that is not a non-profit? Like, you going to tell me that they're not for profit? Of course they are. But deadline enforcing suits. And that's what I think it is all about, is the fact that you have two industries of games at the moment. You have the AAA gaming industry, which goes through and makes a lot of their games. They also go through and they fund a lot of other games. But these games are coming out and they're incomplete. They're rushed. They're not finished. They're all carbon cutters or cookie cutters of the original other games. For example, at the moment, there's a big thing about Battle Royale. Now, yes, obviously Apex is a little bit different than the rest of them. But then that said, EA had very little to do with Apex Legends. It was something that Respawn vastly had the majority of control over. And it came out actually as a decent game. Shock me horror. But at the end of the day, when you look at these these profit counting bean counters, as I like to call them, and I don't know where they get non-profit from, but regardless. But you look at these corporations like EA, Blizzard, all these sort of large, evil, for lack of a better word, corporations, and they're rushing these games out because they're worried about their bottom line. They're worried about getting these games out so that people will go through and buy them so that they can make money. Anthem, for example. Now, if the game is incomplete, boo-hoo-hoo, what are they going to do about it? They know that the majority of people are still going to buy the next Mortal Kombat or whatever it may be that comes out next. The Dragon Age, for example, if they put out a new game on that, they know that people are going to go through and to buy these next games, even if these corporations have screwed over fans in the past. Case in point, you look at BioWare, for example, with Bioshock Andromeda and all these sort of games. They screwed them over for that, but people still ran out and brought Anthem. And people will still run out and buy, I think it's Dragon Age that they're making at the moment. People will still buy these games regardless of how much these companies have screwed over in the past. Now, obviously, yes, it's a diminishing return. Yes, people do get red-pilled on this at a slow rate, but the vast majority of people are still going to buy these games. And the vast majority of people will still defend these games. And also the fact is that they have these corporate gaming industry types who are more than welcome to stick up for their large publishers because they want their games. Let's face it, if you're a game reviewer, for example, and you talk smack about EA, chances are you're not going to get an early access of the game. This is something that Jim Sterling has also mentioned in the past, saying that he's been blacklisted from some game companies because he had an unfavorable review. So you've got these gaming industries, these AAA gaming industry types, and what do you have? You have these crowdfunding games. Now, these crowdfunding games take a lot longer to come out, although I want to push back on that in a sec. But at the end of the day, they're coming out, and ones that do come out are actually playable. Star Citizen, for example, is actually playable at the moment. I wouldn't go calling it a game because it's still in pre-alpha, but you can actually go through and play it like I've done, and it is fun to play. Sure, the bugs are frustrating, but it is fun to go through and to play these games. And when Star Citizen is finished, I presume Forbes and the rest of them are just going to move the goalpost to "it took so long to come out," which is a little bit of a bullshit goalpost, because you look at games like, for example, CD Projekt Red, that has currently been in development for longer than Star Citizen. You look at games like Anthem, for example. Anthem was originally started being built in, I think it was in 2012 or 2011 or something like that. It was in development for a long time. It's not the 2 or 3 years that they actually claim in this article. So what I think this is more about, Forbes trying to protect their buddies in the AAA game industry, because they see the crowdfunding as a threat. They see Subverse raising £2 million. They see Star Citizen raising 200, and I think it's 202 million at the moment. I think it is. I'd have to check. But they see these games raising all this money, and they're not going to get their piece of the pie. And that's what I think this is all about. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on this this article? Do you think at the end of the day that it is, like I'm saying, do you think this is more about them, 224,000, sorry. 224 million, sorry. But like I say, do you think this is more about them going through and protecting their friends? Do you think at the end of the day that this is just them having a hate boner for Star Citizen? I'm not saying some of the stuff they've raised, some of the questions aren't important. Sure, we can have a discussion about it. But I do find it really, really weird that they're seemingly going after all the independent developers. And I imagine that Subverse is just starting to cop it. And I imagine that Subverse will cop the same sort of action when it goes to be released at a later date. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I will see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great day and enjoy.